My sister befriended my ex's affair partner, so I stopped helping her financially.
No money for you.
My ex-husband, currently 43 male, and I, 43 female, were college sweethearts. For me, life felt perfect. I trusted him completely, and that's why it was so shocking when I found out he was in love with his much younger colleague.
Yikes.
By the way, this comes from Pretty Woman. And if you want to submit your own story, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So she was around 24 at the time. I won't get into the details of how I found out, but the affair was well known at his workplace. When I confronted him, all he said was, "I'm sorry. I tried really hard not to fall for her." He didn't seem sorry at all. It felt like he wanted me to leave him, so I did. That was 6 years ago. Our son was 4 then, and it was the worst time in my life. I honestly don't know how I got through it, and because I was desperate, I wanted him to fight for me, to fight for our family, but he didn't. He was quick to sign the divorce papers and didn't even fight for custody. It was as if he had started a new life and completely erased the old one. Took years of therapy to feel normal again, to stop checking that other woman's social media and comparing myself to her. The fact that she's very pretty and charming didn't help. His family loved her, and as disgusting as it sounds, one of our common friends even said out loud, "I don't support cheating, but I mean, look at her." I guess that's what everyone was thinking. This one was just stupid enough to voice it out loud. So I had to cut off that group of friends too. They got married 3 years ago and now have a daughter, a picture perfect little family. The current arrangement is that our son stays with my ex on weekends and holidays, which works fine for the most part. Last week, I found out my sister, 28 female, has been in touch with my ex all of these years. That would have been forgivable since they were close when we were married, but she saw him as a brother, but she's actually best friends with his new wife. And she kept it from me for 6 years. I only found out because she left her phone at my house and I saw several texts from the wife. When I asked her about it, she just brushed it off and said, "It wasn't a big deal. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it." I told her she can do what she wants, but I will be cutting her off completely. I was helping her pay college loans, lol, and I'm going no contact. She called me unreasonable and said I'm being petty and unable to move on from something that happened a long time ago. She also said the wife is a lovely person and a good friend. She said she will be effed financially speaking, so I told her to go F herself. Somehow my parents agree with her. Everyone in my family seems to think I'm a petty, scorned, bitter woman, which I probably am, and I need objective advice. So am I the a-hole? Who was not the a-hole? There we go. Okay, great. So let's get on to some relevant comments, shall we? Commenter number 1 says, "So your sister only cared to have you pay her loans. That's why she kept it a secret. And that's why you shouldn't feel bad for cutting her off. She needs to ask your lovely ex and his wife to foot the bill from here on out, not the a-hole." Opie says, "I know. She clearly chose a side during the divorce, but pretended to be on mine for the money." Commenter number 2 says, "Not the a-hole. Someone who sides with a cheater is probably a cheater themselves. Maybe your sister can ask your ex and his wife to help instead, seeing how as they are best friends." Opie says, "It's strange, and I honestly don't know what level of pretty privilege this is, but no one seems to care what they did. They see 2 attractive people and act like that justifies everything. The cheating doesn't matter because they're too easy to look at. If nothing else, it made it a lot easier for me to cut a lot of people out of my life." Commenter number 3 says, "Not the a-hole, OP. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked your sister hid her friendship with them from you. I mean, she's your sister. I once helped my brother hide a surprise party from his wife, but this, yeah, this is different." OP says, "Yep, 6 years, countless interactions, and not a word." Commenter number 4 says, "Not the a-hole. Sooner or later, one of those perfect people will cheat again, and you can eat some popcorn while all their friends take sides." OP says, "I don't doubt that, but honestly, this woman worships my ex. From what I've heard, she pursued him despite knowing he was married. He didn't resist. He's a despicable human being, and so is she." Commenter number 5 says, "Why the heck do your parents agree with your sister? I hope you get some therapy to deal with all of the losers in your life, not the a-hole." Opie says, "My ex and my sister were pretty close all those years we were married. I mean, she's known him since she was a kid, so they think it's not fair for me to want her to cut him off completely. I would have been fine with that, but again, she's hid this for 6 years, and being close friends with his wife is just pushing it too far." And Opie responds to a comment about if her son knows what's going on. That's a great question. Has her ex and his wife tried to turn the son against OP? OP says, "Obviously not. Whatever our issues are, that's still his dad, who he adores. I am capable of setting aside my feelings for the sake of my child. They haven't. He enjoys his time with them and looks forward to it. I haven't thought that long into the future. He's 10 now. Maybe when he's older, I'll tell him the truth. I don't know, to be honest. Right now, he's happy with whatever arrangement we have, and we have an update."
Oh, dang.
And little spoiler alert, it involves talking to the sister. So we actually went telling the child in an age appropriate way, an agreed upon narrative together of the truth.
I think that if OP and her ex come together and are like, hey, I think we need to tell him what's going on, why this happened, and they both agree, yeah, age appropriate way. Yeah, but I think they have to like get on the same page, which is gonna be hard because it seems like they really don't like each other.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah. Updates. I spoke to my sister again. She apologized for reacting the way that she did last time, also for keeping it from me for all these years. She said she didn't tell me because she knew I would ask her to choose and she didn't want to be in that position. She said she never wanted to hurt me, but at the same time, she couldn't bring herself to walk away from the people who had been there for her. She said it never felt fair to cut him off completely. Growing up, our parents were barely around. They were always busy with work, and for a long time, it was just me and my ex who were actually present in her life. He was like family to her. She brought up the accident she was in around 5 years ago. I knew about it, of course. She had multiple fractures, hematomas, and internal bruising. She was in the hospital for a while and bedridden for weeks. I always assumed our parents were taking care of her. I never asked, and I never really checked in. I was too busy trying to manage a recent divorce, a small child, a career, and whatever was left of my mental health. By the way, you can't listen to full stories just like this if you go to Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search OK Storytime. She said it was my ex's wife who stepped up. She took her to every appointment, picked up prescriptions, brought food, helped her move around, stayed with her when she couldn't be alone. At one point, she said, I know it hurts, but she was there. He was there. You weren't. You didn't even come to the hospital. I thought I was going to pass away, and you didn't even show up. She cried while telling me all of this. She said she still wants a relationship with me, but she's not going to cut them off. She also said she's fine with me not helping her with the loans anymore. She's planning to get a part-time job and figure it out herself. She told my ex and the wife about our conversation. Apparently, they offered to help her financially, but she turned it down too. I just listened. Then I told her she's free to do whatever she wants, and so am I, and to never call me again. So that's where we are. Relevant comments here. So downvoted commenter said, ha ha ha, you didn't even ask if your sister was passed away. With friends like you, who needs enemies? Opie says, I had a 5-year-old, a full-time job, and a brain that was barely holding together. I texted her, but no, I didn't go to the hospital. I assumed our parents were taking care of her. I was wrong. I'm not defending it. Opie says, nothing in her explanation excuses, addresses why she would befriend the woman your ex cheated with before her accident. Opie says, she said they weren't friends before the accident. She was cordial to her. They only became close after the accident. And commenter number 2 says, how did they even know she was in the hospital unless she reached out to them first? You said you texted her. Did she ask you for help? I agree with everyone here saying you need to consider what narrative your son is being told. These people are master manipulators who have essentially now isolated you from your friends and family. You need to fight for every other major holiday with your son so he has memories of special times with you too. And Opie says, the hospital did contact me and my parents first, but I wasn't in a position to drop everything and take care of her. I don't know what happened after that. I assumed my parents would take care of it. Commenter number 3 says, I commented not the a-hole on the first post, and I still think not the a-hole, but the hospital info wasn't in the first post. I still think taking the money and hiding her relationship was purposely deceptive, and she is a dishonest and manipulating person. You don't owe her financial subsidiation. But any relationship of substance obligates people to check on hospitalized people, especially if they have bed rest after being released. No matter what's going on in your own life, it's all part of that love thing where we care about people because we love them. Therefore, love causes us to be concerned and interested in the problems of those that we love. Even with all you had going on, your lack of interest in your sister's hospitalization implies that you weren't really that close, so it doesn't seem as if there was enough relationship to salvage. Commenter number 4 says, BS! She's been feeding X and his mistress info about you for years. She has betrayed you on multiple levels for years. Example, she ran right to them to tell them you cut her off, etc. Told them word for word with her twist your whole exchange. She's also clearly a sympathy junkie and milks everyone for money, meals, ride support, etc. She has only kept quiet to keep your money flowing. My prediction, now the information highway is dried up. Your ex and his mistress turned partner loses interest in sis real fast. His mistress/partner will essentially be over sister. If your ex starts giving sis money when the part-time job doesn't happen, you watch. It's fun for the 3 of them watching you spend your money on sis, knowing that you're being played, but mistress won't think it's funny watching her affair partner start supporting unemployed sis. Now the betrayal is out in the open. My question is, did your son know about sis being tight with them, and did they ask him to lie for them? Oh, wow. That's a closing bit there, which I think we should respond to real quick.
So the commenter's asking, did
The
they
commenters
ask the son to lie?
the commenters basically saying in the whole comment, like, oh, they were all, the sister is like, milking you for everything. She's like evil, basically. They were all sitting back cackling that you were sending her checks for her college loans.
That's a reach.
That we don't know that.
And
That's the
also,
thing.
I think all the commenters who are bringing up like the sister is trying to manipulate you and take all of your money are very much ignoring the fact that she said, I don't want your money. I don't want your money.
Remember that part? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Apparently not.
I want my brother as my maid of honor, but my friend thinks it's creepy.
Is your brother creepy? Because that's the only thing.
I, 25 female, am planning my wedding to my awesome fiance and am so excited. We've been planning the event and will be married later in the year. He has his best man, his brother, and groomsmen mostly picked out. I thought I did too. We each have 6 people and I have 5 female bridesmaids and a man of honor, which I want to be my brother. 35 male. My bridesmaids think this isn't a great idea. And if you are hurt, I'm not choosing them instead. Here's why I want to choose my brother. By the way, this comes from Wedding Drama 1205. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. My biological mother lost custody of me when I was 4, and I was put in an emergency foster situation with a family. I lived with them for 6 months, but was then put back into my mother's case. From 4.5-ish to 6, I lived with my mother, and it was bad. She was too sick, too addicted, weak to handle a child, and by 6, I was being adopted out. By some miracle, the family who took me in at 4 got a hold in the system, and I went to live with them and was later adopted. The family had boys. The youngest was 16 when I got there. I was terrified of him when I got there, which they told me about recently. I have no recollection of that. I do remember him spending the summer with me, teaching me to swim, teaching me how to play games, teaching me how different appliances worked. He skipped a summer job to help our mom with my adjustment. I had eating problems. I had dental problems. I had a snoot full of health problems, including parasites. He came to doctor appointments. He also helped me get ready for school. I hadn't started kindergarten yet and would actually never go. He and my mom would do learning activities with me, and by September, I was okay to enter 1st grade. I used to lie on my stomach and play geography games with him, and he'd reward me with reasons. We were very close. He didn't go away to college as is tradition, and instead stayed home to go to a good university locally. He'd pick me up from school some days, and from 6 to 12, I had an older brother to rely on. He eventually moved out and went to medical school. He's such a great person for that field. Very literally, my brother helped save my life. He was calm, stable influence in my life. I credit him, my mother, and father with saving my life. I would never have gone to college. I probably wouldn't have graduated high school or even lived as I was so sick. I had 4 endoscopies, 4 colonoscopies, and 3 surgeries before I was 8. My family doesn't look like me. I'm most likely Mexican or something else, most probably African American, and they don't come from where I do, but they never treated me any differently than their other kids. Since the others were older and out of the home, I was never as close to them as I was my parents and brother. My thinking is a maid of honor is someone really important, and I cannot think of anyone else who comes close. I haven't even asked him yet, but I think he'd do it. I told my parents and they said they wouldn't say anything to him, but they thought it was a great idea. My husband is also good with it and thinks it's a sweet thing to do. But my female friends were horrified I suggested it and think it's creepy. I think they should shut up.
Like, honestly, what's creepy about it? Just that it's not a woman?
Is
like,
that
is that it?
Your brother is literally one of the most important people in your life. If I look back on that time, it's the happiest a person could be. Is it weird and creepy? Does it contravene some weird relationship boundary between brother and sister? Nope. Is it highly inappropriate? Nope.
Yeah, because everyone knows you actually get married to your maid of honor.
Yeah, everyone
So,
knows that.
what are you going to marry your brother? Gross.
Update. So what happened? Well, I realized that it is my wedding. My fiance fully understood my position and really likes my brother and thought it was a great idea. I organized a brunch with my current bridesmaids to explain my position and why I did what I did. I realized that it's a story I've told but didn't talk about with my friends. Also, doesn't really matter. Thought it was abundantly clear that being different from my family made it obvious. I don't think it actually matters that you didn't tell them this story. I don't think they have any right to question why you want your brother to be your man of honor.
It's just so, like, off base to call it creepy.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's like not like, oh, like, why are you having your brother? It's like creepy that's like a targeted word.
Yeah.
The brunch was interesting. What I didn't mention in my last post was that the person who raised the most fuss was also someone who seemed to get the other people going more than they otherwise would have. We met for a lovely brunch at a nice place, my treat too, and I raised the issue once more. The person who was most Disgusted by it, Ms. X again raised her objection. She was furious and said that this was a travesty and tried to rally the other girls. This time, there wasn't as much of a reaction, and the others sort of just didn't care. I told them all why I wanted to honor my brother and why it was so important to me, and Ms. X admitted that it was lovely and touching, but it should be her because it's her business.
What do you mean it's her business?
Girl.
Is it being paid to organize your wedding?
Turns out that she wanted to be maid of honor and was going behind my back to get the other girls to drop out of contention so that she could do it, so she could plan the wedding, and thus could be maid of honor, wedding planner, and this would be for her business. Yeah, that's why people are maid of honor, so that they can put it on their resume.
Yeah, I gotta fill out my resume.
That's crazy.
Well, I guess it's not even insane, but the way she's going about it is insane. It's like, it makes sense to be like, hey, like, I was thinking maybe, like, can I talk to you, like, blah, blah, blah. And then still like, well, no, my brother's going to be it, but at least now I understand where you're coming from.
I understand that you're crazy. Ms. X was so upset that she threatened to drop out of the bridal party altogether if this went further. Brunch was tense after she left, but the consensus was the other girls wanted her gone, and I didn't want her around anymore either, so she's no longer being included. I will send her an invite. That meant I had to speak to my brother. As I mentioned, he's a doctor and has a dual practice. So I swung by his office and texted him that I really needed to talk. He misinterpreted my comments, so he kept the office open late, and his secretary, nurse, wife let me in. I went into his office, and he was immediately worried I was sick, but I told him what had happened and why Miss X dropped out, and that I wanted him to be my man of honor. He was totally surprised and confused. He asked if I was sure, and that I really shouldn't feel compelled, which is when I began crying. I had so much pent-up emotion, so he made me laugh, which meant I was snorting, laughing, crying, which is my usual. He said he would be delighted, but it wasn't really good at bridal showers, so he would need help. By the way, we need your help in listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left of the story, but this is so cute.
Listen up, people.
Listen up,
Whose wedding
y'all.
is it?
It's OP's wedding.
So who gets to make those decisions?
OP.
Who's the stinky lady?
OP's friend, Ms. X.
Mrs. X can go be a stinky flower in the
Go find
rainforest where they
another
make
wedding
those.
to plan for your resume.
Yeah, I mean, look.
That's such a crazy reason to want to be a bridesmaid. or a maid
Another
of honor.
perfect example. If you would have just had open, clear communication.
You literally probably could have planned that wedding.
Yeah, you
Brother
could have.
doesn't know how to. You could have been like, hey, this is kind of this job that I've been working on. Would you be okay with me helping plan the wedding or, taking control of the planning? I do it for free or I do it for a discount, blah, blah, blah.
Like, straight up.
They probably would have said yes. We arranged a time for all the bridesmaids to come together and meet the man of honor. So we are having a barbecue at my parents' place this weekend. My mom and dad are so happy that he's involved. My dad is walking me down the aisle and my brother will stand at the end. My brother offered a very, very generous gift towards paying for the wedding. So not only is he standing as the maid of honor, but is paying about 1/3 of the wedding. We're really, really excited. Interesting story. One of the bridesmaids actually knows my brother. This bridesmaid and I were friends at college and lived away for a while. While visiting home, she developed some sort of nasty infection and was directed from a walk-in clinic to an emergency room where my brother attended to her and got her on her way. So there's a weird personal connection that they can talk about when they meet. Hey, you landed something somewhere. Glad to meet you again. All in all, I'm sad one friend turned out to be so selfish, but I'm happy to get my man of honor.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! We
Love
did
that.
it!
Love that. So cute.
It'd be so funny if she, like, that person came up and started talking about the medical procedure that
Yeah.
he did, and he's like, I can't talk about that. It's the Hippocratic Oath.
But folks, that's the end of that story.
I booked my wedding 2 weeks before my sister's, and now things are tense.
Why would you do that?
My older sister, 42 female, and I, 37 female, have always had a pretty good relationship. She's always been the protective big sister and is the kind of person to drop everything to be there for her family when they're in need. My sister's been in a relationship with her partner for 15 years. They have a 3-year-old son together and only just finally got engaged 2 years ago, December of 2022. By the way, this comes from user throwaway 10 years, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I've been with my partner for 3 years. We got engaged in June 2024. We had been discussing marriage for about a year prior to this, and throughout that year, I had also been talking to my sister about our impending engagement, as well as her plans for her wedding. She had stated that they were aiming for a fall 2024 wedding. When my fiance proposed, he got my sister to help him make it a surprise. She was completely on board and excited for us. We told her we intended to have a one-year engagement, having our wedding in the summer of 2025. We immediately started looking at venues. My sister even sent me some suggestions to look at. Meanwhile, I hadn't heard any update about her wedding plans in several months, and fall was creeping up. A few weeks into looking at venues, my sister texted me to say she was now booking her own wedding venue for June 7th, 2025. I was a bit surprised that she was now also picking summer 2025. She said, well, it's not a problem since you guys want later in the summer, right? I previously mentioned to her that a late August wedding would be my ideal. I agreed, but added that we were pretty much open to any time in the wedding season, which where I live in Canada is late spring through early fall. About a week after that conversation, 1 month of total looking, we picked our venue. It was the only decent venue in our area that would do what we want, which was a ceremony and a full service sit-down dinner/reception for less than 100 people. We only have about 40 guests. Unfortunately, their available dates were very slim, either late May or late October. And around these parts, it gets pretty cold by late October, and the plan is to have an outdoor ceremony as well as use of an outdoor deck during the reception. So this only left me with late May as a good option weather-wise. I tentatively held May 24th, 2 weeks prior to my sister's wedding, and reached out to her to let her know. It was immediately apparent that she was upset about it, even though she would not say as much. Basically just giving short one-word replies and having a very yeah whatever attitude. I was quite surprised at this reaction because she is usually a very supportive big sister and generally pretty laid back as well. I decided to go visit her the next day to try and get a better feel for where her head was at and hopefully talk it out a little bit. I asked her if she felt negatively about it, and she said, honestly, yeah, I do, but I don't really know why. So I asked what her concerns are, and she said, well, I guess if I have a smaller turnout at my wedding because of yours. I assured her that we don't have any crossover in our guest list aside from our immediate family members, who are of course going to attend both. After that, she basically completely shut down and again just started giving me one-word answers. It was hard to talk it out much more because my 3-year-old nephew was there the whole time as well, giving her an easy distraction to shut down the conversation. The following day, I texted her fiance and asked him to give me some insight on how she was feeling, since she just kept shutting down. He said, honestly, she's very hurt that you would even consider doing this. Doing what? Getting married? That when I said I would, you changed your plans.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I probably would have done, not that OP isn't at fault, but it probably would have like mitigated all of this, is if she had before going and, picking this date, had talked to the sister and been like, hey, this is the date I'm planning.
From there, I spent a month going back and forth in my mind about what I should do. I assumed she was more annoyed that I, the little sister who had been in a relationship and engaged for less time, was quote-unquote beating her to the altar. My fiance also suggested that maybe she was concerned our wedding would outshine hers because we don't have kids and have more disposable income. She's having a daytime micro-wedding. As much as I can understand those feelings and where she's coming from to an extent, in the long run, I really don't believe that my wedding being before or close to hers will negatively affect anything. I spoke to my mother, who had already spoken to her, and she didn't want to choose sides and just wants us both to be happy. I told a few other close friends about it, including a mutual one of my sisters, and they seemed to side with me, but maybe they're just being supportive friends. The only way to make her happy and still get the wedding that my partner and I want would be to push our wedding out by another year to 2026. We didn't want to do this for several reasons, but the two key ones are that we both have aging parents ranging from 67 to 81, some of which have had recent health problems. My sister and I already lost our father at age 69 to cancer. 2 years felt like a lot of time for life to happen, and I would hate for any one of our remaining parents to not be able to attend our wedding for any reason. And we are planners and have been discussing and planning our future together for some time. Part of our 5-year plan was to get engaged in year 3, be married in year 4, and then buy a home together in year 5. Pushing our date would mess up that whole timeline. I've also openly discussed this 5-year plan with my sister before I was ever engaged. Ultimately, after truly a lot of thinking about it and even trying to look more 4 other venues, we decided to go ahead with the May 24th wedding date. I broke the news to my sister and told her I'm not trying to hurt her and I love her and that my partner and I just have to do what's best for us in the end, and that she can too. I'll do whatever I can to support her and stay out of her way, whatever she wants me to do. I told her I was here to listen to her feelings or any other concerns that she may have. She said that she wasn't even that mad about me being first, but the close proximity makes her feel like there'll be too much going on at once and neither of us will have the bandwidth to be a part of the other celebrations. She also did admit that she wanted the time around her wedding to be just about her for once. And there it is, that's the reality. And now she feels like that won't be the case. She said she tried so hard to pick a date that wouldn't get in the way of our wedding or any other family members' birthdays or anniversaries, etc. Question mark, question mark, question mark. And then it didn't even matter in the end. I tried to assure her that I would do anything she needed of me on and leading up to her big day, and that I would not be asking much of her anyway, because we had already decided not to have an official wedding party. I only wanted her to be my signing witness on the day of. I'm not even planning on having a bachelorette party or anything. I can't really help if she feels my wedding will somehow make hers less special, but I really do believe it will all turn out to be fine in the end, and I really wish we could both be happy for and celebrating with each other. By the way, I will always celebrate the fact that you can find full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to podcasts. All you have to do is search OK Storytime. Let's finish this story. So by the end of the conversation, we agreed that we did not want to fight or be mad at each other and that we would have to just move forward and make the best of it. However, since then, she has gone very low contact with me. We were supposed to go to a concert together and she got sick last minute. I invited her to bring my nephew to a local fair for the day and the 3 of us went. And I acted like everything was normal. And she was again being pretty closed off and not talking much, even when I was asking her questions about her life. I tried chatting with her like normal, telling her about what was going on in my life, which happened to be a bunch of financial hardships that all kind of hit at once, and she completely dismissed my problems as no big deal. You can afford it. I've been giving her space since then and only just kind of sending little messages or memes over social media and such. Recently, I texted her and said, "Hey, I miss your face. Be my friend." And she replied, "Yeah, my face is pretty cool. I'll consider your application," which was playful, but still kind of felt like a no thanks reply. So now I'm feeling pretty sad that this is what has happened to our once good relationship. It's really not that bad though. Like, you don't have to even be that sad. That doesn't feel like it's that bad.
No, I feel like if she's being playful, it'll be okay.
Yeah, it's like...
She's just a little butthurt.
That's truly all it is.
Okay.
This is just butthurt.
I mean, even in her reply of like, I am upset, but I don't really know why, I think she'll get over it.
I don't know if there's anything I can do to repair it at this point. I just keep hoping that with time, she'll be able to feel better about it. Any advice? Enjoy your wedding.
Literally, I think when she enjoys her wedding, everything will be